Hello, I'm back again, here to demonstrate some foundation and concealer techniques, as well as go over the different products and the different tools that you'll be able to use to apply to your face. So walking into this, I know I have here the different coverages. We've discussed light coverage. This is a sheer coverage. It is a changing foundation, so it essentially matches up with whatever your skin tone is. We also have full coverage ones, which in this case would be like a BB cream, and that's what this is here. And then we also have like a full in a powder full coverage, and what full coverage means is it covers up everything. So it's going to cover up different blemishes, different skin imperfections, if you have any scars, if there's any unevenness in skin tone, like redness, dark circles. It covers everything. That's the full coverage. So the sheer coverage, which is something that I'm more apt to use, is a more transparent one. So it's essentially meant to be a buffer and kind of blur those imperfections versus completely covering them up, you know? So here we have the different tools that you would use for the different products. So for me, in terms of application process for this product, I actually would use my fingertips because the warmth from your fingers is actually good to help kind of melt the product into your skin. And it also is a little bit better in terms of loss of product. You're not losing it to the other devices that you could be using. So I like to use this one for that purpose. In terms of the BB cream that we have here, this one is in a pump. So you would just tap that and a very small amount comes out. There we go. And what you would use for that is one of their foundation brushes. And this one is very, very fine bristles, very, very soft. And when you apply it, you can actually see it does a beautiful job at just completely blending in the foundation to the pores. So it almost has a very airbrush effect on the skin, which is great. So there's that one. And then the other one would be, for me, a stippling brush, which this is a mock-up of one. It's a smaller version, or like a kabuki brush. Very blunt, stiff bristles. Not hard, just meaning they don't have as much flex as, say, like one of these brushes. You know, it's more softer. So for this, you can use it as heavy, as light as you want. And I just predominantly use it over the areas for me that get discoloration and redness. And it just kind of works to move those around. So in terms of application process, so for instance, with this foundation, I would actually just use my fingertips, a very small amount. I usually spread it between the two fingertips and dab it under the eyes, around the nose, on the chin, and then of course I ran out, and then on the forehead as well. And then from there, I blend from the middle out. And then I look back over, make sure if I do have any areas that I want to cover a little bit better, I can. But this technique allows me to feel like I'm not completely heavily covering my skin. And this product is also has SPF in it. So the SPF is also going to protect my skin from any sun damage. As I talked about in the previous video, smoking and sun damage are the biggest causing factors of premature aging, which we want to avoid because the premature aging is what also adds to the increased wrinkles, liver spots, skin damage spots, freckles, anything like that. After I do that, I usually do, like I said, the powder, and I just do that around the areas that tend to be a little bit more red, oily. And that completes the face. Similarly with the BB cream, instead of doing the fingertip and the powder, I would actually just use the brush, and I would apply again, dab it on here, apply it around the nose. Start from the nose first. Always, generally a good rule of thumb, start from the center of the face and work your way out. So I'm going to start from here and work my way out on both sides, covering around the mouth too. Essentially what you're doing is creating a blank canvas for you to be able to contour, add blush, add color, everything else. Concealers. So concealers come in a lot of different forms. You have some that come in like tubes, similar to like lipsticks, lip glosses that have the wand. This is actually a lipstick, but it would be similar to this. It usually comes in like a sponge tip applicator, and it's very liquidy. Usually these ones are more sheer, but it depends on the coverage. Sometimes they can be stronger. Then you have a heavier base, wax base one that usually comes in the pod. Either way, you're able to utilize either a concealing brush, which literally you dab into it. It's a very thick, very heavy formulation, so less is more. And then for these, you would actually just carry it right around, like if you had any dark circles around your eyes or any redness around your nose, you basically would just carry it in and through, and then utilize the brush instead of your fingers in this scenario, because it is a wax base, to keep it in place. Because if you were to use your fingertips, what would happen is it would actually melt the concealer down before you had the opportunity to place it in the spot that you want it to be. So that's the concealer one. In terms of foundations, there's also the foundation brush, which you can use for more liquid-based formula. Some do come in a more liquid form. Those are more medium coverage, so they do cover some blemishes a little bit fuller than the lightweight coverage would. For those instances, you would be able to utilize this brush. It's very flat, very sleek. You're also welcome to, in any of these scenarios, utilize a sponge applicator. In terms of the sponge applicator and the brush, definitely great tools to have. The only downfall is if your foundation or your concealer is very expensive, a lot of times it can eat up the product. And also these type of sponges are designed to be disposable, not for regular use, because what can happen is this bacteria can build up in these. Obviously with the brushes, you can rewash these, take care of them, clean them. The sponges, unfortunately, that is not an option. So I believe that is it for the concealer and the foundation. The only other thing I would recommend, light strokes with powder. And then with the BB cream foundation, circular motions are really good to really blend that in and get it to be as smooth as possible. So if you do have any questions, feel free, again, post, let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Hopefully this has helped in some ways. And in terms of foundations, real quick, selection, the best thing that you can do is actually, for selection, not the top of your hand. This is actually a very bad place to gear foundation on, simply because this sees a lot of sun exposure, and your face, usually with SPF and everything else, does not. I recommend utilizing kind of here along the jawline, because your neck and this area is kind of more what you want to gear towards, because this is what's going to be seen. So if I go by this tone, which is different than the rest of me, I'm not going to really be able to balance my makeup. In doing so, it's going to look like I have a mask on versus a fluid movement of color. So that would be my recommendation for testing. Either doing it here if you can. A lot of places will offer samples, or for instance, I know CVS, you can actually return it even if you've tried it. The other aspect that you can do is the inner part of your wrist. This is a really good way to gear the skin tone. So again, thank you for watching. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.